5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I want to thank you again for joining us for our remote August 26, 2020 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. Since we're doing this meeting on Zoom, I don't always introduce everybody, but let me make sure I get at least our board members. We have Council Member Jason DePonzio, Council Member Chris Warner, Council Member Robin Wilt, and Council Member Christine Corrado. We have Town Clerk Dan Amon, and we have some of our staff members that are really the glue keeping us going. Mike Guyon, our man of many hats, Commissioner, Sewer Commissioner, Highway Superintendent, Commissioner of Public Works, Paula Parker, our Finance Director, Police Chief Dave Cathaldi. We have Assistant to the Supervisor, Bridget Monroe is there. Special thanks to our interpreters tonight, our ASL interpreters, Heather Barsinski and Ali Fawi, thank you, and Town Attorney Ken Gordon. Steve Del Monte, who handles the video, and Alexander Wietter, who is our stenographer tonight. But again, I really appreciate those of you that are joining us on a very pleasant summer evening. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Again, we're broadcasting this meeting on Spectrum Cable Channel 1303, and we're live streaming it on our YouTube channel to satisfy Governor Cuomo's executive order modifying some of the provisions of the Open Meetings Law. We want to continue to hold these meetings in a way that is as accessible as possible, which is why we have our interpreters here, which is why we will be going to our open forum very shortly. When we get to the open forum, you'll have the opportunity to call in at 303-3060 with any questions, comments, or concerns that you might have. But first, we'll start with our pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Last Wednesday, the town board held its second of 2 annual budget workshops. I want to thank each department and each department head for preparing and presenting an overview of their proposed departmental budgets for 2021. As I discussed at our last town board meeting 2 weeks ago, despite the pandemic, we are going to continue to conduct a thorough and transparent budget development process, as always, with greater opportunity for community public engagement than is required by state law. What we're in now is really the first step of a several-month-long process that involves both the development of our 3-year capital improvement plan and a budget for the year 2021. As we continue that process, unfortunately, there is no new news on the prospects for federal aid for municipalities and school districts to offset the impacts of the COVID pandemic. And that failure to make any progress on federal aid is making our budget preparation much more difficult than ever. It's never an easy process. We always have tough decisions to make, but frankly, we are doing so in the dark right now. As I've noted at several meetings, and you're going to hear in a moment, as it relates to sales tax, our revenues have been severely reduced already during 2020, particularly in the area of sales taxes, which we do share with Monroe County, but also interest income, reflecting drops in interest rates designed to bolster the economy. Also reduced program and facilities fees due to cancellation of parks and recreation programming, field and facilities use revenues that for several months were completely canceled and are only now coming back online. Together with other COVID-related revenue shortfalls, just an estimate, but we could certainly fall as much as $1 million below budgeted revenue expectations for 2020. Those revenue shortfalls will no doubt continue in 2021, particularly in the first quarter of the year, when comparisons will be to the first quarter of 2020, generally before the COVID pandemic was beginning to impact us. Today, we heard statements out of Washington suggesting that there will be no deal on another round of COVID relief before the end of September, when actually government in general runs out of funding. The federal government's funding runs out, with no guarantee that if there is such a deal, that aid for local municipalities and school districts will be included as part of such a deal. So I certainly encourage residents to continue to communicate with Congressman Morelli, with Senators Schumer and Gillibrand. All of them have been supportive of federal aid for Brighton and other municipalities and for school districts, but I think it's important to show that we recognize and appreciate the work that they're doing in those areas. We'll continue to update the board and the community on the prospects for aid as part of the budgeting process. The Finance Committee will be reviewing our budget. I expect we'll be acting on our capital improvement plan at our next meeting, so we can incorporate that into the tentative budget, which will be actually the preliminary budget that gets presented to the town board at our second meeting in September, with public hearings scheduled for both of our board meetings in October. We will, again, as we always try to do, plan to approve the budget in late October. And that approval process will involve some very, very difficult decisions if that federal aid is not forthcoming. Now we will go to the open forum. And as always, members of the public are welcome to call in. That phone number is 303-3060. You can call in with any questions or comments concerning any item relating to the town, whether or not it's on tonight's agenda. And tonight's agenda, by the way, and all of the supporting material for tonight's meeting can be found on the town webpage at townofbrighton.org. We want you to have all of the material that we will be looking at as we go through our decision-making process tonight. So again, the open forum is now open, 303-3060. We have not had anybody call in yet. I know it's a little difficult when we do it with the Zoom format. It's not as easy as someone out there in the audience raising their hands. So we will continue on with our agenda, understanding that if someone does want to participate in the open forum, we'll get back to you if we get your message called in. And also I would note that if anybody is interested in commenting during the public hearing on proposed parking restrictions along Penfield Road near the Corbett's Glen Nature Park parking lot, we will be having that public hearing almost as the first item on the agenda. So if you are looking to comment on that, I would encourage you to wait until we open that board meeting. But in the meantime, can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
And that, by the way, is the agenda with the addition of the revenue expense reports for the month of July, which are now in that agenda, but were not on the agenda that was published earlier in the day. If there is no comment, no discussion, Dan, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. We will.
For the purposes, excuse me, Supervisor, this is Town Attorney Ken Gordon. For the purposes of our stenographer, and so she can have the record straight, the motion was made by Councilmember Corrado and seconded by Councilmember DePonzio. And if I could just remind board members to please identify yourselves when you do make motions or speak, it would help with the record. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ken. And we will now go, as I referenced earlier, to the one public hearing we have on the agenda tonight. That's a public hearing concerning proposed parking restrictions along Penfield Road in the vicinity of the Corbett's Glen Nature Park. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given for tonight's meeting?
Yes, Supervisor.
Tonight's public hearing, rather?
Yeah, yes, Supervisor. It was in the August 13th edition of the Brighton Pittsburgh Post.
Thank you. Notice having been given, I declare this public hearing to be open. This is a reflection of an ongoing challenge with parking in the vicinity of Corbett's Glen during the pandemic. We have seen increased attendance, visits to all of our parks. And while most of our parks are very much suited to social distancing, Corbett's Glen is somewhat less so, both in terms of the availability of parking, but also the trails and the lay of the land itself in the Corbett's Glen Nature Park. And for that reason, we have, during the course of the pandemic, had parking restrictions, not only in the parking lot, which have now been lifted, but also along many streets near the Glen. But what we've found is, unfortunately, that although parking is effectively impossible along Penfield Road, because people, when they try to park, are actually parking in the travel lane, we wanted to put signage in to make it clear. We don't want there to be a safety risk. And so this will authorize us to put parking along Penfield Road. Mike, anything you would like to add?
No, I think you covered it all pretty well, Supervisor. The main thing is people do parking along Penfield Road. It's a very, very busy road. It does create a very unsafe situation. So we have a letter from the county that basically is going to authorizes a resolution from the county that authorizes us to put the signs in along the roadway. So I think we're in good position.
Good, yes. Penfield Road, of course, is a county road, and thank you for working with them. Chief, I know we have been ticketing cars on Penfield Road and on some of the other side streets. This is something that will be helpful to the department, I presume.
Yeah, of course. I think it'll better and more clearly identify the areas where we do not want cars to park. As the commissioner said, it's a tight roadway up there, and especially on the warm days. Hopefully with the fall coming on, there'll be less traffic, but I mean, who knows? But it is a danger and it's a concern. I think the signs will address it.
Thanks.
And Bill, this is not intended to be just seasonal or just during the pandemic. These signs go up and would prohibit parking indefinitely.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
I think people got used to parking there when the parking lot was closed. They found it convenient but unsafe. I've seen it many times.
unsafe and illegal. And it has been illegal, but these signs will just further send the message to people that this is not a permitted parking area.
Supervisor, this is Town Attorney Ken Gordon. If I could just make a couple quick comments.
Sure.
First, just in further answer to Councilmember Werner's inquiry, what is before the town board is a local law to amend the town code, specifically section 185-46. That particular section restricts or prohibits parking at all times. And this proposal is for both sides of Penfield Road. And the geographic boundaries of this parking prohibition have changed very slightly when the proposal was first put before you to set this public hearing. When we first set the public hearing, the town law that I had drafted for your review prohibited parking from North Landing Road to what we defined as the Brighton town border with the town of Penfield. The county has asked, and we have agreed to change the geographic parameters to from North Landing Road to the Penfield Road intersection with Superior Road, which is virtually at the Brighton town border with the town of Penfield. But it gives a more definitive endpoint for those parking restrictions since it is an actual intersection. So I did want to point that out to the town board members that the local law before you tonight that you are being asked to take action on is slightly different than what was before you when you first set this public hearing.
And I know we've discussed it, but it's your opinion that because this is a slight restriction in the law, it does not require us to hold open the public hearing based on that one minor change.
Correct. This is a slightly smaller area, therefore a lesser restriction than originally proposed. And so there would be no additional part of the public that was interested or would need to receive notice of these parking restrictions, since the last local law, when this public hearing was set, the draft encompassed a larger area.
Again, I would, if there is anyone out there watching that has an interest in this matter, we encourage you to call in to participate in the public hearing. As of yet, nobody has done so. However, are there any more questions or comments from members of the town board or from town staff?
I just say it's a good thing. I drove by on Saturday and there were 10 cars on the side of the road, about 2:30 in the afternoon. So it's definitely going to make a big difference.
Good, good. Since we have no comments from members of the public, I declare this public hearing to be closed. And can I have a motion, please, to approve this local law?
Bill, this is Chris Warner. On the matter of proposed parking prohibition along Penfield Road near the Corbett's Glen Nature Park parking lot, I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Can I have a second, please?
I'll second it. Jason DePonzio.
Thank you both. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. And Mike, you and I have discussed timing of getting those signs up. I know we have to send the law into the state for it to be effective, and I know the clerk will do that tomorrow. But you will have the signs up before Labor Day weekend?
I spoke to the sign shop. They've been in, they're making them right now, Bill. So they're in,
Beautiful.
they're in They're in preparation.
Okay, great.
We won't hear back that fast, Bill.
No, I understand, but we will have sent them in for filing. So certainly by Labor Day, we will know that they've at least received them. Okay, can I have a motion to receive and file the communications we have tonight?
So moved. Councilmember Wilt?
Can I have a second?
I'll second. Jason DePonzio.
You are the seconding man tonight, Jason. Thank you.
Do what I can.
3 items of communication. One is the one that I referred to earlier. Communication from Jennifer Cesario, Comptroller of the County of Monroe, concerning sales tax distributions. This number did not come as a surprise because the state had already advised us that sales tax revenues for Monroe County were down about 37% in the second quarter of 2020. What that means for us is that our sales taxes were reduced by about $345,000 in just one quarter as compared to last year, from about $958,000 last year to $613,000 this year. Now, as we reported at the last meeting, July's numbers were bad, but not quite as bad. July, we were down about 17% over last year. So while things may be improving in the sense that they're bad, but maybe not as bad as that second quarter, we are, I think, clearly going to continue for the time being to see sales tax revenues below last year. Obviously, for example, the back to school season is not going to be what it used to be with so much remote learning involved. So this is part of what I keep talking about when I talk about the challenges we face in budgeting this year.
Bill, this is Chris Warner.
Yeah.
Do we receive a share of online purchases, which I assume have actually increased somewhat, and the sales tax generated from internet purchases?
To the extent that they are collected by Monroe County, yes, we do.
Is there any provision for collection of them by Monroe County per se, or is it more the state of New York generally?
Well, it goes through the state of New York, and then they're distributed, as I understand it, to the counties. But as we know, there's still an awful lot of business that gets done on the internet without sales taxes being paid. We also have correspondence from Janice Toland, personnel technician in the Monroe County Department of Human Resources, confirming our submission of our 2020 certified payroll signature sheet with no payroll discrepancies. That's obviously a good thing. And then finally, we have communication from Amy Mello with freedomforallameriCans.org, acknowledging a matter that we, the town board, discussed in executive session during our last meeting, namely an amicus brief in support of a lawsuit, Fulton versus City of Philadelphia, in which we support the right of municipalities with affirmative policies prohibiting discrimination against the LGBTQ plus community from being forced to do business with agencies that don't have such policies. So that brief has been submitted, and I believe that matter will be considered by the Supreme Court. Oral argument has been scheduled for November 4th. So hopefully sometime in the first half of 2021, we will hear on that decision. But we were one of 169 towns, cities, counties, and the U.S. Conference of Mayors that signed on to this amicus brief. And thank you, Ken, for working with them to make that happen. We have a motion and a second to receive and file those. I would note, by the way, that the brief itself is attached as well, in case any of you are interested in reading that. Dan, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner. Okay. Councilmember Wilt.
I believe
Aye.
that was an aye from Councilmember Werner, although you were muted.
Aye.
There you go.
I
Thank you.
was scrambling here.
And I heard Councilmember Wilkes, aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye, thank you. Again, moving on to committee reports. Community Services, Robin.
Thank you, Bill. Along with the other committees, the Community Services Committee was scheduled to meet. However, it did not meet as scheduled on August 19th due to the COVID-19 concerns. So we have not met since the last town board meeting. I do have some updates from our department heads. From our recreation department with regard to summer camp. We're thrilled to report that we successfully completed our summer camp program for 2020 without any major concern or issue from staff or participants. We've had great feedback from all involved, and we do hope to continue our successes heading into the fall season. Speaking of the fall season, our fall registration for our recreation programs is coming. New this year, all of our program offerings will be featured online. Due to a number of variables, we are not printing or mailing our traditional fall brochure, but we have some great in-person and online programs in the works. Resident registration for fall programs begins on Tuesday, September 1st, and non-resident registration will begin on Tuesday, September 8th. Having a virtual online catalog allows us the needed flexibility to make adjustments, add to, and customize our programs on a rolling basis. Please check our website often, as we will continue to add programs throughout the fall season. New programs will be communicated via social media and email, so please help us share with the community and spread the word when something interests you. Maybe a neighbor would be interested as well. All of our in-person program offerings will follow strict health and safety protocols, of course. With regard to our Brighton Recreation after-school program, registration has begun, so please do sign up now. New this year, we're accepting children in kindergarten, afternoon kindergarten through 5th grade. Online registration is available. As I mentioned before, we'll maintain small group sizes to minimize all contact, and we will also have increased increased cleaning and disinfecting protocols to keep everyone safe. You can see our website for full program details and registration. That website is www.townofbrighton.org/rec. I'd like to remind everyone that Brighton Seniors continues our partnership with the Town of Henrietta Senior Center to provide grab-and-go style meals each week as part of the Monroe County Nutrition Program. You can order ahead box meals that are available to seniors age 60 and up. Meal pickup, again, is at the Henrietta Senior Center, so please call us for full program details or to place your order. That number is area code 585-784-5260, extension 0. You can leave your name and phone number, and we will follow up with all of the details. Our Brighton Farmers Market remains open with new COVID-19 protocols. That's on Sundays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Brighton High School parking lot. Pre-order, again, is encouraged but not required. And for more information, you can look at the Brighton Farmers Market website for full details, and that is www.brightonfarmersmarket.org. You can stay up to date on all of our recreation announcements again on our website at www.townofbrighton.org/rec or on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Brighton Recreation. An update from our Parks Department. We have no major changes from the perspective of our Park Superintendent since our last update. The basketball courts continue to attract a lot of attention, but unfortunately, the state has not changed their stance, and basketball continues to be categorized as a high-risk activity, so the courts remain closed. Facility rentals are slowly starting to pick back up, but obviously it's still at a much lower volume than what we're accustomed to, of course, impacting our revenue. We hope to begin installing the new playground at Meridian Center Park after Labor Day. The hope was to have begun the park project back in the spring, but limited staff and COVID-19 concerns have pushed that start date into the fall season. Other than that, we continue to improve our daily maintenance on all of the trails, facilities, fields, and parkland with limited staff. An update to the census at 75.7%. Brighton response rate continues to grow. Sadly, not as much as it did in the last couple weeks, but we're still trailing response rates of our neighboring communities of Penfield, which is at 78.9%, Parrington, which is at 80.4%, and Pittsburgh, which is at a whopping 83.5%. As we mentioned before, census workers will be working in accordance with reopening protocols throughout this summer and into the fall to try to reach those who have not completed their census forms. I've seen some in our communities, so there will also be at least one more additional rally and other public events to help increase awareness about census participation. And we just want to emphasize again that an accurate count is critical to ensuring that we are properly funded for all of our emergency responders, our infrastructure and after school programs, our senior programs, and so much more. So please do participate in the census. Make sure that Brighton gets its fair share by responding to the hashtag 2020 census. You can respond to the census at 2020census.gov. And we want to thank you for participating. We will be discussing our community choice aggregation or CCA program later, but Supervisor Maley and I on August 20th did meet and conducted a review call with dual assets just to follow up on any lingering questions the town had with regard to the bidding process and structure of the bid documents, and to provide additional feedback on the town's desired next steps. Jewel has completed meetings with all of the participating Monroe County Power municipalities and is now preparing new bid documents that expand product eligibility to include a hybrid fixed / variable structure, which could be effective in keeping initial pricing low and mitigating some price risk for suppliers, as well as potentially encouraging more aggressive bidding for a contract with our CCA, which is called Monroe Community Power. We remain committed to a 100% renewable energy product, and we hope that the next round of responsive bids will be conforming. In update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board, which has been meeting throughout the summer, I want to invite the community to a Brighton community conversation on inclusion, diversity, and equity. As a Brighton community member, if you'd like to discuss your ideas about inclusion, diversity, and equity practices and policies within the town of Brighton, or would like to share your thoughts in a constructive and positive way, the Town of Brighton Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board is inviting you to join an important conversation about the future of our community and how the town of Brighton can enhance its inclusion, diversity, and equity practices and policies. There will be a series of 2 virtual community conversations, and we encourage all Brighton residents of all ages and demographics to join us. These sessions will be held, as I said, via Zoom, a video conferencing tool that is readily available. You can choose one of 2 sessions, the first of which will be tomorrow night, Thursday, August 27th, from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. The next of which will be on Saturday, September 26th, from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Again, both sessions will be via Zoom, and you can register at the Town of Brighton Recreation website. Or you can contact Bridget Monroe, the assistant to the supervisor, at Bridget, that's BRIDGET .Monroe, MONROE, at townofbrighton.org, or at 585-784-5252. If you're registering, please do provide your full name and email address, and also tell us if you require any accommodation or support for your participation. These meetings will be accommodated. We will accommodate your hearing impaired and deaf community with ASL interpretation. So please help us spread the word and share this with other Brighton community members. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, September 16th at 9:30 a.m. And we hope to be in person, but please bear with us as we figure out how we're going to proceed with the safety protocols. And again, we thank you for your continued patience and observance of COVID-19 safety protocols. Please stay safe.
Thank you, Robin. And actually, just want to note, I understand that registration for tomorrow night's conversation with the IDEA board has now been closed, but we do want to encourage participation, so you can still sign up for the September 26th, Saturday, September 26th session. And thank you for all that. Jason, Finance.
Yes, Bill, like our other committees, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee did not meet last week on our regularly scheduled date due to COVID-19. However, Finance Director Paula Parker did circulate to all board members a list of the items that appear on tonight's town board agenda, together with supporting documentation, so we would have opportunity to review it in advance and raise any questions with the appropriate department heads or staff that we might have. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is for Tuesday, September 1st. We normally meet at 3:30 in the Stage Conference Room. I don't know if that's going to happen in person or it's awfully close to the beginning of the month, but we'll have to stay tuned and see if we meet in person. Otherwise, it may be canceled, and we'll do what we've been doing for these meetings during the pandemic.
Thanks, Jason. Next, the Public Safety Committee, Christine.
Public Safety has also not met since the last town board meeting, although it was not scheduled to meet in that time. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be Tuesday, September 8th at 8 a.m. in the Town Hall lower level meeting room, only if we are able to all be back in person. In the meantime, Public Safety has, our public safety agencies have been busy keeping us safe, short of on a couple items here. The Brighton Volunteer Ambulance notes that their loan closet has now reopened. It is subject to some additional guidelines, but that resource for the community is outstanding. If you need short-term use of certain equipment like crutches, a walker, cane, I think they have even items as complex as well, I won't speculate on what all they have. If you need something, you can contact the Brighton Volunteer Ambulance, or you can drop by at any time. You drop by, you go to the Winton Road main entrance, you buzz the bell there. Somebody will let you know that they are coming, that you will stay outside. You let them know what you need. They will source it for you from the closet and deliver it to your car. Brighton Volunteer Ambulance also took some time to celebrate themselves. They work hard keeping our community safe, and they deserve recognition. Typically, they host a public, a large event to celebrate those who have accomplished good things on behalf of the safety of our community. This year, they are leading by example. They did not host a social event. They hosted a Zoom event. But I wanted to give public recognition in this Zoom setting for those who have earned recognition from their peers, right? Volunteer Ambulance. 6 awards were presented on August 24th. The David Gundry Award in recognition of significant achievement and dedication to the Corps was presented to past member EMT Kara Breslin. The Zach Zhang Award for selfless dedication to the agency and emergency medical services was presented to EMT Kyle Wilson. The President's Award for service to the agency and ongoing dedication to the advancement of it, as well as bettering of one's colleagues, was presented to paramedic Captain Jen Myers. The Chief's Award, which recognizes a valued leader among peers through thorough and consistent leadership, and who takes ownership of their role and leads above their rank, that was presented to paramedic John Gentlecore. The ALS Provider of the Year is paramedic Zacchaeus Janelle, and I do hope I pronounced it correctly. And the BLS Provider of the Year is EMT Pima Triantafilu. So there are 6 of the many members of the Brighton Volunteer Ambulance Corps who keep our community safer, and they are well deserving of those recognitions. Under the arena of policing, the Monroe County Alliance for Transformation of Community and Police, known by the really easy to remember acronym of MCATCP. Thank you, Bill, for summarizing that. I'm trying to say MCATCP and YMCA, whatever. MCATCP continues to host their chat with chiefs, a reimagining of policing. The next forum where community members, regardless of where you live in the region, community members are invited to gather at Fairport High School in the parking lot number 1 tomorrow. A lot is going on in the area tomorrow. If you're not participating in the IDEA committee discussions tomorrow, you can go out to Fairport High School tomorrow, August 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. These gatherings are an opportunity, it has been described as an outdoor public forum to promote dialogue between law enforcement personnel and the community. The alliance between law enforcement, clergy, community, and interested stakeholders has been formed, quote, to pierce the hearts of the police force and civilians by transforming traditional law enforcement to intentional community policing, unquote. And people of all ages and backgrounds are encouraged to participate. Bear with me a moment. One public health note that contributes to public safety. The ROC COVID tracing of symptoms continues. The county, the University of Rochester Medical Center and Rochester Regional Health employees, pardon me, I'm misreading a line here. The community-wide tool is available at roccovid.org, and that's spelled ROCCOVID.org. It's a daily health screening. Anyone can participate. Everyone should participate. You answer a few basic questions about yourself. Your data is anonymous. It's aggregated, however, and it allows the public health, the Monroe County Commissioner of Public Health and team to keep an eye on hotspots in the community and get out in front of the health concerns that the pandemic has caused. And that is all for now. To do the Rock COVID health screening, it's painless. It does not involve any swabs in your nose. It's only by text.
It really is easy. It's the first thing I do every morning. I grab my phone. It's right there. You can get it by text or by email. And it really does make a difference in tracking in the community. I want to add my congratulations to yours, Christine, to those 6 great BVA team members who were recognized earlier this week. We're grateful for the work that BVA does in so many ways. So congrats, thank you. And then finally, the Public Works Committee, Chris. But unmuted, please.
The Public Works Committee has also been unable to meet in person, but Commissioner Guyon has kept me abreast of where the department stands. The Highway Department has extended the 4-day, 10-hour schedule through Friday of next week, September the 4th. For highway maintenance, the Danforth Crescent has been paved, and the highway crews will begin to replace the storm sewer on Ambassador Drive. Once the storm sewer construction is completed, the town will mill and pave the roadway surface, and we anticipate that the project will be completed by the end of September or early October, weather permitting. Duffield Road, weather permitting, the Highway Department hopes to begin work on Duffield Road this September as well. The Winters Farmers Market building continues to proceed. The Sewer Department has installed the sanitary sewer lateral and the water main to the existing barn and cleaned up the project site. They're also working on a trail that will extend the Buckland Park Trail system to Westfall Road, where a crosswalk will be installed to the Brickyard Trail, which will be an important linkage. BLM is working on the interior plumbing improvements. That's the contractor hired to do those improvements. And once they finish the plumbing improvements, they can pour the floor and begin the interior framing. And then the interior improvements as well. DPW staff is currently working on the following projects: the French Road sidewalks, the North Landing Road sidewalks, Brighton Memorial Library roof replacement, the Farmers Market, as indicated, 5G ordinance, Panera Road Refuse District, and several small sanitary sewer projects. Our next meeting is scheduled for next week, Tuesday, which is September the 1st. As yet, not heard whether we will be in person or not. Bill, any input on that?
Yeah, Ken and I are going to continue to have some discussion as to what and how we can conduct committee meetings, whether there's a possibility of some kind of a hybrid, for example. But I do want to get back to committee meetings. I think they are a valuable way to get issues and input before the board. And there's, much as we are serious about welcoming input to these meetings and the emails and phone calls and everything else, those meetings really are helpful in terms of engaging the community in these important issues. So I'm hoping that we can. I am concerned about, obviously town hall remains open only by appointment. We would probably have to hold the meetings all here in the auditorium with the 3 committee members distanced. And if there were people coming in, obviously we would have to have them come through the appointment process, be temperature checked and everything else. But I'm not ready to say, yes, we are going to start those meetings in September, but that is a decision I would like to make very shortly, and we'll make the public aware of that and obviously provide the necessary legal notices if we do resume those meetings at some point in September.
And Bill, this is Town Attorney Ken Gordon. Just to add to those comments, yes, we're going to continue to look at that. And I saw your message from today about the idea of moving forward with hybrid or some form of committee meetings. But also, I should note for the board and for you that presently the executive order is allowing for remote meetings and remote or virtual public hearings expires September 6th. Now, the governor has extended those on 30-day increments time and time again since he first put them into effect in March. But we usually don't know until a day or two before the extension, if not the day of the extension. So I expect that will be the case again. September 6th, I believe, is a Sunday, September 7th being Labor Day. So we may not know until September 8th, unless the governor extends things before the Labor Day weekend. So more to come on that, but I will keep you all apprised.
Thanks, Ken. Moving on to new business. Jason, reading and approval of the claims.
Yes, Bill, earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $678,201.06. Notable claims include to the Depository Trust Company in the amount of $10,650 for payment for semi-annual interest on the 2016 refunding serial bonds issued. Also to Hines Concrete Contractors in the amount of $123,185.98. Following up on Councilmember Werner's report, that was for payment for gutter replacement project on Danforth Crescent per 2020 CIP. Also to Iroquois Rock Products in the amount of $43,939.04, which was payment for purchase of asphalt for paving on Bonnie Bray Avenue in Chelmsford Road, again in accordance with the 2020 Capital Improvement Plan. And finally, to Scanex Pipe Services in the amount of $47,633, representing payment for sanitary sewer relining program. And this took place along Fairhaven Road per contract award. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be.
Second, Robin Wilt.
Thank you, Robin. Any discussion on those claims? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Chris Werner.
Next item, Bill, is to authorize the out-of-district agreement for sewer use with the town of Penfield to include 49 Collinsworth Drive. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second, Jason DePonzio.
Mike, do you want to talk about this? We've done this with other properties.
Yep, sure, Bill. We have done this in the past with 59 Collingsworth. This is an agreement with the town of Penfield to cover the maintenance costs. The 49 Collingsworth, much like 59 Collingsworth, will tie into the Penfield sewer. And then it actually back drains into our sanitary sewer. Currently, their septic system has failed. They will be in, I don't know if it'll be at the next meeting, we'll be scheduling a public hearing for them to form a district also. So this is just a sort of the first step to get this process moving to allow them to connect into the sewer and try to get them sewer service where right now they have none.
Are there any other properties on Collinsworth that will ultimately be in the same situation?
There's 6 total, Bill, so there's 4 more after this one. Yep.
Thanks. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember DeBonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine.
Yes, the next matter, pardon me, the next matter seeks to declare structures at 405 and 417 Western Drive as dangerous and unsafe, and to set a public hearing date for proposed demolition of said structures. I move that we set a public hearing on, and it would be the next town board meeting, correct? So that, jumping into the next
It
month.
will be, September 9th.
That leap over the over the month. So the setting a September 9th. So I move that we set a public hearing on September 9th to adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second, Chris Warner.
These properties are in rough shape. Mike, do you want to talk about these as well?
Yeah, they are, Bill. You saw, anybody who saw the reports can tell these buildings are unsafe. They're unfit for what their intended use was. They're, they've been unoccupied for quite a while, and they've been exposed to the weather. We had Ed Shiro, our code enforcement officer, go out and take a look at them. He's prepared the report. I think the reports are pretty self-explanatory. We have talked to the homeowner out there. He would like to take this down. He would like to take it down as a controlled demolition. This process will allow him to do that.
Good. Okay. Any discussion?
Supervisor Attorney Ken Gordon, just for clarification purposes, the public hearing date is set forth in the resolution. I'm not sure I heard Councilmember Corrado's motion correctly that she made, but I believe the motion is to adopt the resolution as before the town board, not to set a hearing to adopt the resolution.
That's correct. This action would be to adopt the resolution that is before us. Part of what is in that resolution sets a public hearing for September 9th.
And part of the resolution actually also declares the public, declares the buildings to be unsafe presently and direct their immediate repair or demolition.
Correct.
Within 10 days of the date that the resolution, this resolution, is adopted, if that is what the board does.
Correct. Thanks. Yep. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll on that.
Councilmember DeBonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Jason.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to approve a change order in an amount not to exceed $5,000 for a total contract amount of $174,200 with Roman Construction Development Corp. For the 2020 sidewalk replacement program. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And that was Councilmember Wilt.
Sorry, Robin Wilt.
Mike, again?
Yeah, so every year we have a sidewalk repair maintenance contract go out, and we maintain our main sidewalks along our main thoroughfares such as Monroe Avenue and Elmwood Avenue. We also, as part of that contract, take care of our neighborhood sidewalks. Roman Construction won the bid to do that. This change order is for an additional $5,000 to repair the porous sidewalks along Monroe Avenue GIGP project. Money was set aside in the account referenced in our letter there, 8510, DPW 8510. We have been seeing some deterioration from the sidewalks, the poor sidewalks on Monroe Avenue, mostly in drive areas from the salt. So we're going to have to probably do this for a couple more years to catch up with those areas that have become deteriorated.
Thanks, Mike. And I also want to thank one of our residents who pointed this area out, and in particular pointed out the challenge that the deteriorated sidewalk posed to someone with a mobility disability. So thank you for that. And we're going to get it fixed. In fact, has it been now fixed? And this is just the payment, right?
That is correct.
Good. All right, so we have the motion and the second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Robin.
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with the County of Monroe for participation in the Energy Aggregation Group. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Can I have a second?
Second, Chris Warner.
Let me discuss this a little bit, and it will also sort of lead into our next item, the discussion on community choice aggregation. It is one of my goals, and I think all of us are looking to make Brighton a more sustainable community. We have been a part of an energy consortium sponsored by Monroe County for a number of years. One of our other goals is to operate in as efficient and cost-effective a manner as possible. And this consortium has helped us to do that. Through the consortium, the town, for town facilities, including things like our street lighting district, purchases electricity. It also uses the consortium for our natural gas supply for heating and whatever other uses of natural gas that we have. That agreement is up for a 5-year renewal this year. To date, through that consortium, the electric supply available has only been sort of the standard, what we sometimes call the dirty mix, made available from RG&E. I've had some discussions with the county and with other supervisors in Monroe County. I'm trying to urge that the program include a renewable option for electricity. If that is not possible, we've also had some discussions, and Robin and I, when we were on with Mr. Weinberg last week, discussed the possibility of Joule as they work with us to get our CCA and provide wholesale renewable power for residents, whether that's also a vehicle to work with Joule to get wholesale priced renewable power for the town. The mechanics of it are a little different because we are not a residential customer, but one way or another, I am hopeful that we can get our electric needs met in a renewable way. As I mentioned, though, this consortium also provides natural gas. So we're going to want to renew this consortium participation regardless. We may have to renew it for the time being for electrical purposes as well. I'm hopeful that we can have a resolution before the September 1st renewal date. More to follow on that. But in any event, I do want to renew the agreement as the motion would provide. Any further discussion on that? If not, we have a motion and a second. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. And finally, what is really a discussion about the community choice aggregation and the status. Robin covered it, the status well in her report. Of course, community choice aggregation, or CCA as we call it, is an opportunity for residents in Brighton, but we're also working with both the town and the village of Pittsford and the town of Arundecoit to provide 100% renewable energy to our residents at wholesale pricing. And wholesale pricing is important because it would be much cheaper, noticeably cheaper, I believe, than the current opportunity to buy at retail, if you will, from RG&E. We are working, as we've mentioned, with a company called Joule, Joule Assets, and Glenn Weinberg, who has been our primary contact person. And we've gone through one round of bidding in the hopes that we would meet certain price objectives. Unfortunately, really, I think because of some volatility in the market, that we can unfortunately probably anticipate continuing under current pandemic and other conditions. They were not able to meet the price benchmark. Robin and I know both believe very strongly, and obviously all of you, will have an opportunity to talk about this. But I know we believe that this program really is an important opportunity for us in Brighton, and hopefully for other communities, to move the needle, to make real progress towards procuring renewable energy in a way that there are very few ways that as a relatively small community that we can do that. But if our residents en masse are able to go to a renewable energy source on a pricing that will be, again, better than the retail pricing, it's hard to say right now exactly how that price will compare to the current non-renewable source of energy. But as we go to this community choice aggregation and implementation, we will continue to have additional public information meetings on the plan, what the pricing would entail. But I really think, with all the rest of what has been going on in 2020, we look right now at California, where an area greater than the size of Rhode Island is on fire, causing immeasurable impact to people and property. We're looking at, we've already gotten to the letter M in tropical storms, and we have an extremely dangerous tropical storm bearing down on the Texas and Louisiana coasts. These and so many other impacts of climate change just simply can no longer be denied. And those people that are denying them, frankly, science is not behind them. Climate change is real. Science is real. And we must take action. This is a way that we in Brighton can take action to make our energy consumption based more on sustainable energy sources. I believe that unless we take this kind of aggressive action with community choice aggregation, we will be remembered as the generation that surrendered to climate change, that missed the last chance to do something about climate change, instead of being the generation that for the first time faced climate change and was part of the solution. Robin, do you have any further thoughts on that? And then we'll open it up to thoughts from the rest of the board.
No, I think you summarized it beautifully, Bill. I think that we really need to recognize that in offering the community choice aggregation, we are offering them a value proposition. And not only are we committed to 100% renewables, but this product is going to be available for the average consumer at far less what they could acquire it at if they were just on the open market as an individual. And so, this is an opportunity to transition 15,000 households in Brighton to 100% renewable energy. And that is a huge step towards being more environmentally responsible. So I am 100% in support of CCA. We've gone down a very long road to get to this point, and I'm very excited to finally be at this point where we're going out to bid, and I do think that we'll have viable responses. So I want to go full steam ahead, see what we get on the open market, and hopefully that will be actualized into savings in terms of what our individual consumers within the town of Brighton could receive for 100% renewable energy. So I'm excited.
Me too. And I think it is important to note any resident at any time really will have the opportunity to opt out of this program. I hope that people don't. We had some very serious discussions last year, I think it was. It's hard to keep track of time in a world of COVID, but we had some very serious, very important discussions about carbon pricing. And what the community choice aggregation does with sustainable purchasing is it really, it allows us to recognize the true price, including the carbon impact of traditional electricity sources. And whether or not this will be cheaper than the price that is currently paid for those dirty sources, non-sustainable, at least not fully sustainable energy sources. But it will give us an opportunity to, again, identify that the real carbon inclusive pricing of that on society, on our environment is greater, and give us the opportunity to protect the community, protect the environment, protect our planet. This will do that. And I think we have to act. I think we have to recognize that in pandemic times, pricing models may not work the way we would like them to do. And I think we need to make sure that we're recognizing the environmental impact and recognize that while it may not be any cheaper, it may even be a little more expensive. I don't want to kid anybody. It will be much cheaper, as you said, than buying at retail, and much better reflect the savings in the carbon cost of electricity. Any other thoughts or questions from the board?
Supervisor Ken Gordon, Town Attorney. Just one other add-on I wanted to make here. Also, please remember that the pricing is a fixed price for a period of time. That's very important as well. So even though the price might be at or approximately the same as what consumers might be paying now for what is dirty energy, if you're committed to renewable energy and you can get that renewable energy for a period of time at a fixed price and the market won't go up and down on you like it so often does, that's a good thing economically too. So it's not only good for the environment, it's also good for people's stability for their own home and family budgets.
That's right. And as Robin alluded during her report earlier on, one of the things we discussed in the immediate aftermath of the first bid, and we discussed it again in our most recent call with Mr. Weinberg, was a potential hybrid model where we're able to smooth the cost, maintain a fixed price in the second year and potentially as a model for future years, where changes in the market, both up and down, would be smoothed out, giving the energy suppliers really some incentive to bid aggressively, recognizing that if the market changed, they would be able to recoup some of those changes in the second year. So we've got a lot of things going on. I think all of them present opportunities for us to make this happen in a fiscally sensible way and clearly in an environmentally sensitive way. And again, we're going to be out talking about this with the community. Once we're certain we're going to move forward with another round of bidding, we're going to have those conversations. We'll probably have to Zoom them again, but we want to make sure as many people as possible get to know what community choice aggregation means, and the benefits. And I think it's also important to note, although they're two really separate programs, it's our expectation that after we're able to get community choice aggregation in place for the community, then we're going to turn to a community solar program that Jewel will also work with us on, that will provide for additional savings for residents in giving people the opportunity to encourage the development of the solar industry in the New York area, so that we can provide locally produced sustainable power at additional savings to residents. But that'll be a separate program. It's something we'll do once we get the CCA up and running here in Brighton. Questions, comments? All right. Well, more to follow, certainly, for the community. Matters of the supervisor, as noted, we did add the July revenue and expense report. As we alluded, the revenue is clearly negatively impacted by the COVID pandemic, particularly sales tax, but in other areas. Some of the expenses are also reduced, but let's face it, it was a challenging month. Can I have a motion? Again, as always, we will have our quarterly update after the September report is received. But can I have a motion to receive and file that July revenue and expense report?
So moved. Chris Warner.
And a second?
Robin will.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll to receive and file that report.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Robin also talked about the trail extension that's currently being constructed in Buckland, which will connect to the new crosswalk across Westfall Road, that we still hope will be completed probably September. Mike, is that still a realistic time frame?
So we'll have the trail built. We've got to work on the ADA compliant ramps.
Right.
So we're working with the county contractor, and we're hoping to get a contractor off the county contract to build that.
Great. And September-ish, do we think they'll be able to do that work this season?
We're hoping this season. I don't know, September, October, Bill, but
All right.
yeah.
But there's another trail project out there, and thanks to Dr. George Smith, who proposed, and we're going to be, I think, likely to move forward on this. One of the areas in the undeveloped land in Buckland Park to the east of the current loop trail and developed playing fields. It's a formerly an area formerly used for agriculture, so it's pretty smooth, it's pretty wide open, it's laid out within some hedgerows, but there's some holes in the hedgerow that would allow us to mow a trail connecting the existing Buckland Park Loop Trail over to a new grass trail that would be mowed about a half-mile loop around that former agricultural area, giving walkers and nature lovers access to an additional area in Buckland Park for access. And I really appreciate Dr. Smith making that suggestion. And again, I think that's something we're going to be able to get completed sometime this season. So more to follow on that. So if you haven't been out to Buckland Park in a while, you know, one of the things I love seeing, we talked about how the parks have been getting use. We're seeing that in Buckland Park. We're seeing so many people out there using the fields for friendly games, for some of the low impact games that the governor has approved, lots of soccer. And in particular, we're seeing some new American communities out there really enjoying the soccer and some of our other amenities, the picnic pavilions. The parking lot is as full as I've ever seen it. So it's great to see. We've got to make lemonade out of this lemon of a pandemic somehow. And what we're seeing is that the investments that we've made over the years in our parks and our trails have never been more important, have never been better used. So keep it up, Brighton, and keep it up, everybody that's using those facilities. Thank you to our park superintendent, Matt Beeman, and to his team. You know, we kind of joke about it. It isn't entirely fair. We keep adding park space, and you, the residents and our neighbors, keep adding park use. And somehow Matt keeps getting the work done with the same number of great park employees. So kudos to all of them that are really working hard to make it happen. That's all I have. Ken, matters of the attorney to the town. Anything else?
Nothing for me this evening. Thank you.
Matters of the town clerk. We've got another round of tax payments coming up, school taxes.
Yep, so the school tax collection, provided all the districts get me signed warrants, which I still do not currently have. But providing they do so, I will be authorized to begin collecting payments as of Tuesday the 1st. As always, if you're paying in installments, the first installment is due September 15th. If you're paying in full, October 1st is the due date. As with the end of the town and county collection, thanks to our friend Rona, we will only be collecting through the drop box at the rear of Town Hall at entrance number 9, as well as by mail. You can also use payments through our M&T branches here in Brighton for the first installment or fulls only. And then County Executive Bello has waived the service charges for paying by credit card through the county's website. Normally, the county's vendor charges 3% for credit card transactions. So you'll be able to go forth and collect your points and rewards cards, put them to work with the school taxes. As always, if any questions come up, by all means, reach out to my staff and I will here every day from 9 to 5, as always, 784-5240.
Thanks, Dan. I think it's important to note, although there are all of those options for paying your school taxes, we will not be collecting them in person this year. So lockbox, mail, M&T Bank, or the credit card are 4 options, whether you're paying in person or with installments.
Yes. Thanks for the clarification, Supervisor. I'd also just wanted to mention, just really thinking about the folks down in Southwest Louisiana, Eastern Texas, Hurricane Laura, while we've been here, has been up to 150 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
So it's looking like it may even make Category 5 by landfall. So, you know, is it 2020 is just keeps on giving and shows no signs of stopping. But with, you know, the COVID restrictions, you know, I can't even fathom what those poor folks are going through tonight. So just keep them in your thoughts.
Absolutely. Thank you. Matters of the town board.
I have one item regarding a community organization that is doing good work to make a dent in combating climate change. Color Brighton Green has launched an initiative to increase the number of trees in town. Many residents have probably gotten word through their neighborhood association that Color Brighton Green is has trees available to be planted in the right of way around town. The folks who are interested in having a tree planted in the right of way, and that's that space in your front yard that's from the middle of the street to about where the sidewalk goes. If you have a sidewalk in your front yard, if you don't have a sidewalk, it's where one would be. That's the space where street trees can be planted. These trees, there are about 50 trees available through Color Brighton Green. They are trees that are that are strong enough to be planted by the street. They are on the Brighton Tree Council's list of approved trees. Color Brighton Green is working with our highway department for permits to place the trees appropriately. Color Brighton Green will plant them for you. And we will have a greener and safer community. Not only do trees help us to combat climate change, and they are literally cooling when you're out walking along the streets, they contribute to traffic safety as well. They send a signal to drivers along our streets to drive a little more slowly, take in the sights, and pay attention to who's alongside the roadway. They contribute to the town's aesthetic, and there's ample evidence that more trees contribute to psychological well-being of individuals, and heaven knows that right now we could use that. So if you have an interest in having a tree placed in the right of way in front of your property, if you don't have one there already, you can contact Mitch Nellis, and I want to be sure I give you exactly the right email address. Mitchell Nellis's email address is mitchellnellis@hotmail.com. He's compiling a list. You'll hear more information, and prime tree planting season starts in late September. So you have a tree in front of your home before the snow flies.
Thanks, Christine. I think it is important to note, and you mentioned that Color Brighton Green is working with our highway department. Part of that process is because it is in the town right of way. The commissioner, the highway commissioner, Mike Guyon, superintendent, public works commissioner, whatever hat he's wearing. But in any event, the highway department has to give approval before the tree can be planted. Obviously, as you mentioned, we have a list of permitted trees, but the department will look to make sure that it doesn't, for example, interfere with visibility or cause any other problems. So that's one step, but what a great opportunity. Thank you to Mitch and to Color Brighton Green for that. And I believe, Mike, if a resident does request a tree and Color Brighton Green has a tree that can be planted, will Color Brighton Green work with you to get the permit issued, or how is that process going to work?
The way I've talked with Mitch, I actually talked to Christine a little bit tonight. we haven't figured all the details out, but my thought is the homeowner would apply for the permit with the highway department. We've issued the permit. You know, we caution people that they need to call UFPO before they dig. And maintenance, it'll be the homeowner's responsibility to maintain a tree, and haven't decided how long that would last.
Okay. Since Color Brighton Green will actually be doing the planting, would they be the ones to contact the before digging, or is it the responsibility of the homeowner?
I think it could be, you know, the Color Brighton Green would be fine, but who's ever doing the digging, as long as it's
Yeah.
marked out.
I just want to make sure that, you know, there's a process that's, you know, clear and so that everybody knows, you know, who's doing what. And but
Mitch had reached out early on with this bill, and I think there was 2 trees, and I think it's grown into what Christine talked about now, which is a great thing.
yeah.
So we'll just honestly need to sit down and work out some of those particulars. They're small particulars. They're small things we just have to work out. And they're not difficult and they're not costly. So it's just, we just have to make sure all our ducks in a row.
And I'll say there's a number of groups and individuals in the community that are working on tree planting projects right now. I think more and more people are recognizing the importance of trees. We have another, I can't announce it yet, but there's another organization that's looking at a significant tree planting project, working with Dr. Smith and conservation, you know, the whole gamut of trying to, you know, get this work done. You know, we're a tree community and we want to show it. So thanks for that, Christine. Any other matters of the town board?
Supervisor, Town Attorney Ken Gordon, if I could just.
Oh, your time's over, sorry.
I know, but I just wanted to point out that once the tree is planted, not that this would likely happen, but once the tree is planted, it becomes a town tree. So
right.
Just because the homeowner wants to plant the tree and comes forward and gets the permit and plants the tree, that doesn't give that homeowner the right to then decide later, or the next homeowner in line, to remove that tree. It's
right.
town, and only the town could remove that tree after it's planted. So
yeah,
just for the community to know that this is a great program. We'll add to our treescape, and that's fantastic. But once it's there, and we don't want to see them taken down.
We want to see it grow. Anything else? Then can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Christine Corrado.
Second, Chris Warner.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, everybody that watched tonight, and everybody else that participated in the meeting. Have a great night. Come on back for our next meeting, which I expect will be done on Zoom, but as Ken points out, the governor has to renew that order. But in any event, wherever it's held, it will be held on September 9th at 7 o'clock. Have a great evening, everybody. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.